Running full system diagnostics. Machine status fully operational. System online. All stations are now enabled. Target dog the resistance. Operation overkill.
Guys, what's up? Welcome here to Raceface. It's good to be here with you guys once again, and it's been a little minute since we've done some Raceface stuff. So we're back. We got the GT4 Season 2. My hair's all a mess. Absolutely usual for me. We got my Raceface shirt on. Hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear in the chat. Shout out to all the viewers that are here. We are going to go over to our quali session very shortly. Just connecting up to the servers and gonna get live with season 2 of the GT4 season. So looking forward to it, and it really should be a good one. So let's jump in, see if our cars are out on track, see if we got some volumes going down for them as well. If you guys are here and you can give me a little volume check, that would be great. Hopefully sound audio sounds okay and you guys can hear me. Yeah, the audio with the camera will be a little bit out of sync. It's just because for today there's a whole lot of different things. My whole loft has been converted over into a recording studio for some of the Toyota esports stuff that I've been doing. So yeah, we'll have a little bit of an out of sync audio potentially. Hopefully not for game audio though. That should generally be okay. Looking over here at Terence Ferreira out on the circuit, and there's a whole host of cars here for the second season. So 18 cars on the grid. It's going to be a goodie. Let's see who's out on circuits in the... Going to set us a hot lap out. Let's see if we can pull up our track map. I'm not quite sure who's out. I joined a little bit late, so we'll just have to try and figure out who's on the circuit. We can run through some of the cars here though. Of course, we've got a whole bunch of names that we do remember. Terence Ferreira from KK Racing. We've got Charles Wilkin, of course, in his Team Hulk. That's Aston Martin coming out strong. Ryan Ottens, another KK driver, also picking up the Aston Martin. Yandre Brits from C&M Racing. Of course, they do events on Tuesday nights if you haven't checked them out. Hannes van Veek from BWR Griffins. Our cameraman going to catch up to him now. Solid little M4 on the grid. I see we do have 6 of them out here, so that should be good. Arno Versace's here from Retro Esports Rainbow. Of course, the brightly colored cars, you'll spot them from a mile away. Neil Berger from BWR. A whole bunch of BWR drivers coming over to Raceface for the season, which is really cool to see. Good to have them out with us, and hopefully some good racing out on the circuit. Mornay Deploy from DP Motorsport. We do see some time starting to come in. So Charles Wilkin, not a big surprise there from me coming in, setting a pole position time, but will be topped by yet not another surprise, Arno Versace doing a 144.139. Charles Wilkin with a 144.322. So an interesting little shootout going to go down between Versace and Wilkin, I'm sure. Would be interested to see who else in the field. I'm sure the McCalls are going to bring something up to the pro field as well, which should be interesting. Bunch of drivers I haven't seen compete in Pro 2. John Muton down in 15th temporarily before he sets a time. Good to see Tsebo Maloto also here from KK, the team boss. Down there in 18th place. Hasn't set a time, hasn't got out of the pits yet, but good to see him up here. Looking forward to this. It's a 45-minute sprint race. So no mandatory pit stops, none of that jazz, just straight out shootouts. Zandvoort, 45 minutes in the GT4s. KTM Crossbow currently at the top of our timing sheet, which is always good to see. Something different, right? And not everybody's favorite car, but as a motorbike enthusiast, I can get behind a KTM being up there. So Arno Versace's time will be topped out by Charles Wilkin. He will go and set a 143.980. So 1.59 seconds then separates first and second. Mark van Rensburg sits in third place. So we've got Aston Martin's in first and third. And we've got KTM in second. And it looks like Hannes van Veek in his M4. Slot himself into fourth place then. Junior McCall, Ryan Ottens, John Muton, Jandre Brits, Sean Schutter, and Stefan Herbst round out the top 10. And we've got a whole bunch of drivers still to set times. To Blanche, Morgan McCall, Mike McGear, and Tsebo Maloto all to set times. Gives us a little break and some time to interact with our chat here as well. JC Hrabler in chat, Alec Enslin here, Jason Absmeyer, all the homies out to the yard. Good to see you guys here. Thanks for joining in and being here for the start of season 2 of the GT4 League for Raceface. And of course, tomorrow night we head out to the GT3s, still at Zandvoort, so always cool with Raceface. The leagues, if you are entering both divisions, you can just practice one circuit. So Zandvoort for the week. We come here in the GT3s tomorrow for a little bit of a longer stint as well with mandatory stops. So the GT4s really are just that shootout sprint series. Well, that's really the vibe that it tries to go for here at Raceface. And of course, Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sim backing us up once again. So Always good to have some sponsors on board and doing stuff. Charles Wilkin going to abandon his lap there. Doesn't go, or does do a 1:43.989. So Versace looks like he is in the pits to make some changes to his setup. Up on the time is old Morgan McCall here in his ATK branded Mercedes. Currently sits in 4th place with a 1:44.541. He's 6/10 up though as he comes into the final chicane. And just 2 corners to go to round out his lap. Still stays up 6/10 of a second. And he's going to be looking to get himself up the leaderboard here. Potentially pole position for him. So Morgan here flying around. Might send Wilkin back out. Wilkin is back out. Morgan McCall though will go over the line. Take pole position with a 1:43.935. So 400ths quicker than Wilkin. Wilkin still to do some times. And 11 minutes 30 on the clock. So as things stand, McCall starts first, Wilkin second, Versace then third to round up our top 3. And Mark van Rensburg knocked down to 4th. Junior slots himself up to 5th. Ryan Otten's into 7th. Sean Schutter from EKZ, he's slotted himself up to 10th place as well, starting the top 10. Times that we haven't seen still, Sebo Malorto, so he's now out on track to set a time. Good to see the EKZ teams representing as well. Sean Schutter, been promoted up to pro as well in terms of his driving standards and pace, so Sean Schutter doing good things out there for EKZ. Let's see if we can spot anybody up on their times. Hannes van Wyk, our front leading BMW as things stand, the number 27, 1:45.090 on the clock, 1.1 seconds off the pole sitter's pace, but he is 4/10 up. So looking to get himself into maybe the top 5 with the last 2 corners to go. 10 minutes of quali still remains, so decent amount of time for our drivers to still set their times. And I feel like Zandvoort, one of those circuits that you really need to get a good start or start towards the front, especially in a pro grid where consistency is probably going to be a little bit higher up. Van Wyk seems to have done a 1:45.075, still only good enough for 7th place. So it doesn't jump himself all the way up into the top 5. Still a couple of tenths for him to find. Sebo Malorto has done an out lap, but yet to set his flying lap just yet. Mornay Deploy from DP Motorsport, the number 5 M4 in that Nardo Grey. Currently in 15th place with a 1:46.536. The 2/10 up, coming through what is the most hair-raising part of the circuits. Oh no, he's at the end of the circuit. This is a good part. You finish your lap up, so 4/10 up here. Let's see where Mornay Deploy jumps up to. Only good enough for 1 place. So still 2 seconds off the front runner's pace. First to 17th separated by 2.7 seconds. So a little difference in times towards the bottom of the order. But some good, decent competitive times in the front of the pack and into the mid-pack too. So 8 minutes remain. Everybody out on circuit bar Jean-Andre Brits. He's decided to find some tweaks on that setup. A lone Porsche out on the circuit, the 223 of Herbst. Stefan doing me proud. And quite a cool looking livery as well. So the S&J Racing 223 will probably steal a little bit of my bias as I'm a bit of a Cayman fan. I had the privilege of going in a GT4 road going Cayman not too long ago. Thanks to Matthew Kanaya. He's got a YouTube channel. If you guys haven't checked it out, he does cool car reviews. So he gave me a really cool opportunity. If you guys have not checked him out and you follow him on Twitter, a good place to go if you are a Porsche fan. So Herbst looking to find a little bit more. He doesn't have enough in this lap to do it. Malotto sets a lap time of 1:45.987, goes into 14th place. So everybody on the circuit has now set a competitive time. It looks like Charles Wilkin looking to still stick it to Morgan, yet to find that last little bit in him. He's currently dead on even with his time that he set according to my timing information. So when it comes down to the final hundreds, it's not something that I see. I get to see tenths. So if he is up, he's up. And Wilkin going to cross the line. A 1:44.184 going to come out. So it isn't better than what he had set previously. Morgan McCall still stays out in that lovely liveried Mercedes. Alric, Mr. Ulti. Good sim racer, good friend. Good points. The livery does look good on this car. I think it fits it quite nicely. Very complimentary. So not only does it look good, but it drives good too, right? Sits at the front. Wilkin wants to take it to him. Versace leaves the pits for possibly the final time. He'll have time for another outlap and a decent hot lap chance. It looks like the grid relatively unchanged from the start of quali here today. So drivers may be accepting where they're going to be starting. We see Wilkin parked on the side of the circuit as McCall comes round. I mean, Morgan, after setting a pole lap, hasn't just given up and set it back in the pit box waiting for someone to rival him. He's not happy with the timing differential that he's got to Wilkin. He does find a 10th here and there throughout the circuit. Currently dead on with his previous time. So final hairpin, really a good place to try and find some time if you've maybe lost it. Not where McCall is going to make up any time. So still stays pretty much dead on even with his quali lap. Potentially a bit slower, it seems, as the timing board indicates, when we don't see a differential on the broadcasting side. We'll go down the start-finish straight now, and we'll get to see. There's a 1:44.070, so not quicker than his previous time, but decently on the money. Wouldn't have been good enough to beat Wilkin's best lap, but Wilkin has only a couple of laps, two maybe, to potentially rival this position. Schutter has been knocked down to 13th place for EKZ. He will be replaced up there by Tsebo Malotto. He's jumped into 10th place. 1:45.441 from the KK Racing frontman. He's got some awesome drivers in his control now. And also good to still see him dancing out on track in the Pro Division. Starting in the top 10, he'll be happy with that. If you can get a little bit closer, I'm sure every driver would like to. Warren Sheehan. The other... Oh no, sorry. This is a WLS Racing team. I thought I'd seen them at the livery before. But I'd completely looked in the wrong direction, I think. Jason in chat hinting at his car choice being a little bit different. Getting a little bit bored with ACC. So going to switch things up. I'm privy to maybe knowing what that car is, but keen to see what happens tomorrow. Wonder who else has changed up their car decisions. Trying to think of who drove what in the GT4 season. To be honest, not 100% familiar. I do remember McCall was in his Mercedes, of course. Sheehan doesn't improve his time there. Arne Vasaki is up 2/10 though in the KTM crossbow. That retro esports rainbow livery really does just stand out against what is a little bit slower. I mean, a little bit more bland, the Zandvoort scenery. It's not slower. It's definitely not slower. Vasaki showing that he can still dabble towards the front. 2/10 off McCall's Mercedes, as he is off of that Aston Martin. So he's up at 10th. I don't think it's going to be enough to change anything. Looks like we will see one of the KK M4s aborting into the pits. Oh, it will be enough. Vasaki going to go over the line at 143.926. We'll go 9 thousandths of a second quicker. McCall didn't expect that. He's in the pits. And what a lap coming out from Vasaki there. Woo! The Retro Esports Rainbow KTM tops the charts. Wilkins still out. Not enough time to improve his time though. We'll start in third. Mark van Rensburg. He's out but not up. Hannes van Beek is out and up. 4 tenths up for the BWR Griffins. The number 27 M4 coming through. Daniel Rowe in the chat too. Resource complete running Lambos. So it's all going to change up. Yeah, what a lap from Vasaki there. Mark Ansel cheering him on. Good to see everybody in the chat as well. Don't forget to like, share it with everybody, even your grandma. She might like sim racing more than she likes family gatherings. So, you know, definitely share out the love. Shutter from EKZ, 2 tenths up. This will be his final stab at bettering his starting position. 13th place for now. But of course, Zandvoort, it can all change. Tarzan Bacht. That first corner. I got the Afrikaans taal Ganing out there. Bacht, I think, or I'm not 100% sure. Every corner is called corner here. But T1, absolutely critical to make sure you get your right line through. Otherwise, you can just be bullied up through turns 2 and 3 and find yourself bleeding out almost immediately. So it will be interesting to see. Schutter has unfortunately lost some time out there. Will be rounding out his last couple of corners, 2 tenths down. Wilkin still managed to get another lap in, so he's going to be shooting for a final one. And we'll see what happens. Robert sending me DMs whilst I'm streaming, so it's okay. So he's told me Schutter pronounced Skitter. We got that. So Sean Skitter. I'm not 100% Schutter. Skitter. Robert coming in clutch with some pronunciation. He needs to give it to me phonetically though. So sometimes it's gonna be difficult. Arno Vasaki, definitely impressive times coming out in that crossbow. And it's a car that I didn't see too much of. Had a little bit of experience with Samir Ibrahimi's KTM in one of the RCI series. He also seemed to have some good, or it was Samuel Ratz actually. Samuel Ratz had some good pace in it. But always good to see some variation coming out. It's not a car that you see very often. Some good BMW representation. Those also seem to be very dominant only at Monza and then not really anywhere else. So, again, always good to see. Quali going to pretty much come to an end very shortly. McCall, he has managed to get another lap in here. Has he? He has. He hasn't finished. And qualifying, this will be his final lap. He is up on his time, 10th up. So this could be McCall's lap. Let's just see what he does. Final chicane. And he's got the final 2 corners here. Here's the 10th up. So this could be it. This could be the lap that tops that KTM's time. Nothing left for Vasaki to do. And the ATK Academy Mercedes down the start, finish straight. Going to cross the line, and this should be pole position for him, and it will be. McCall takes it out the line, 143.746. Almost 2 tenths quicker than Vasaki, 1.80 coming through as we jump over to the grid. 2 minutes on the clock for the drivers to just load up their final setups. Make sure they've put enough fuel in for the 45-minute race. Season 2, Race 1 of the GT4 Raceface series. Brought to you by Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sim. We're out at Zandvoort. 18 drivers on the grid. 30 degrees on the track. 22 degrees ambient temperature. with no wind in sight. So 45 minutes, pretty much perfect for these guys at a very optimum track temperature to operate through. So hoping to have some good racing. McCall leads the way over Arno Versace in second place. Charles Wilkin starts third. Mark van Rensburg fourth. Junior McCall will start fifth. Hannes van Veek sixth. Ryan Otten seventh. Giam Muten in eighth. Warren Sheehan in ninth. 10th for Tsebo Maloto. Stephen Tablanche in 11th. Stefan Herbst in 12th. Sean Skitter in 13th. Jean-Andre Brits in 14th. Mornay Deploy in 15th. Neil Berger in 16th. Terence Ferreira in 17th. And Mike McGeer leads the back of the pack away in 18th place and rounds things up. 20 seconds on the clock. We are ready to go. And we are ready to start these GT4 cars up on the grid. Hopefully everybody remembering to ready up, not get sent off to the pits. It is our pro division, so relatively not surprised that everybody starts away here. Formation lap in single file before we start with a 2x2 rolling start. And Zandvoort, such a difficult circuit for drivers to make passes on. So we will be hoping for some good moments. Can't always guarantee that they will be the cleanest of moments, but our drivers here have had their drivers' briefings. They understand what is at risk with these stewards. As we follow along with Morgan up at the front. Everybody out in chat joining us through here. Of course, Mark Tolkien here too. Good to see you, Mark. Thanks for always ripping off my Afrikaans. Always good to have the homies rip off the Afrikaans. Martin, you're there. How are you doing? Shani here too. Zandvoort for the opener of season 2 of the GT4 season. I'm glad that Raceface has brought it back. Good to have the GT4s on Wednesdays, and then Thursdays we get to have the endurance races in the GT3s. These 45-minute sprint races should be good, even on a circuit like Zandis, which doesn't always have the best overtaking opportunities. But we're gonna have to see. Jason saying Charles gonna go sideways into turn 1 like it's WRC. I mean, this is true. Charles has been grinding that rally side of things for the Toyota Esports Challenge. So that will take place on Friday. If you want to catch more of my casting action, I'll be here for some Raceface Season 4 of the GT3s tomorrow. But for tonight, it's GT4s and a good variation as well. Glad to see that the Retro Sim Rainbow KTM is up towards the front, hoping that Versace and McCall can have a nice little battle together. Van Rensburg up there with Wilkin too, so hopefully everybody holds on to each other and we get some good racing. That mid-pack, in terms of quali position, seemed to give some good insights into the racing being a bit closer. Sean in the chat as well, Godfather, shout out there. Jason Luck here, shouting for BWR. BWR with a lot of support. Good to see the BWR drivers here as well. I mentioned it early on, and a whole host of BWR drivers signing up for GT3s and GT4s. ATK Academy leads the way here on the grid. Wilkin and Van Rensburg look to have almost teamed up there in the same colors. Maybe they're driving the same, but we are waiting for the lights to go green for round 1. And any moment now, we'll wait to start. And there they go. And we are racing and live. Skitter pulls out to the middle of the pack there, towards the back of the order. Immediately defensive from McCall. Going to go on the inside line, forcing Versace to go around to the outside. Versace will stay around the outside. Might have the inside now for the next complex of corners. This could be a good start coming through, but he will still stick it side by side. Will get forced a little bit. This is where he needs to make the move happen. And very drifty goes Morgan McCall. And that will be the move done for Visagie. So very nicely done there for the KTM up towards the front of the order. Wilkin is going to get past the likes of, it looks like Van Rensburg next to him. They will continue the chase in those matching Aston Martins. Wilkin obviously has some purple wing mirrors on his car to identify it from there. And Mark Van Rensburg then slots down. So looks like Visagie first, McCall second, Wilkin third, Van Rensburg fourth. McCall, this is the other McCall, Jr. in fifth place. He's being hunted down by Ryan Ottens from KK Racing. Hannes van Veek into seventh place. It looks like the gaps are here too close to really call out, but everyone just sort of staying in formation for now. Nice clean start coming out, it looked like. And just a couple of cars down the back of the order maybe caught out. Jandre Brits limping around here from CNM in that number 115. Warren Sheehan, he's got the pressure of Tebo Meloto in that 808 from behind. And a lot of pressure being put on here from him. Looks like Sheehan going to have to go defensive very early on. Up at the front, let's get back to this as we go over the line. So rounding out the first lap, Visagie still holds off McCall. Inside line going to be picked up from Visagie immediately. Maybe Morgan going to try the same thing that just happened to him. Visagie going to be edging on the brakes, not wanting to let that position go. And very clean racing coming out from the two of them down through turn 1. Turn 2, it will be McCall to just slot back in, not really wanting where you want to go around the outside. We saw him lose traction previously. And the number 94, oh, what a drive coming out there. Gets himself into an awesome position here to defend against the previous GT4 champion, of course, Morgan, winning up last season. Wilkin looking to also get some good results here as he's pulled himself a little bit of a gap there to the likes of Mark Van Rensburg. So they are driving in. Oh, Morgan McCall off the track. Big off from Morgan McCall. Bleeds the position out to Charles Wilkin and will lose out to Van Rensburg too. So one small slip up there. The two ATK cars meet each other in the mid-pack. And Team Hulk is promoted through. Hannes van Veek from BWR Griffins still holding on to a nice solid 6th place there. Defending off against Ryan Ottens from KK Racing in that number 64 Aston Martin behind. And a whole host of GT4s in shot as these guys still stick it to the metal and keep it nice and tidy out on the race circuit. So good racing here to start things off. And the first 5 minutes almost wrap up with a couple of changes up towards the front of the order. Morgan going to be kicking himself with that mistake. Looks like Tebo Meloto and Sean Skitter are getting themselves into a position to maybe get into a battle. But Herbst in that Cayman, that 223, is also looking to just stick with this. Look at everybody just following information. They know that drivers putting pressure onto anyone in front of them is going to slow them down. And that's where the opportunity here is going to, or their opportunity to pass is going to be here. Ryan Ottens, he doesn't really get to stick it too much to the likes of Van Veek in front of him if Gian Mutin puts on that pressure from behind. So again, it's that hit or miss race style where you risk, trying to maybe make a move on someone else. You've allowed the space to depreciate behind you, and then you've got to get onto the immediate defensive. So as Morgan, should I say, finds himself in 4th place, he's immediately got himself back up to put pressure on Van Rensburg. They are going to go side by side, and around the outside it looks like McCall going to try and do it. Also a corner here that you can make up positions. Will set himself up for the inside towards the chicane. So Morgan doing a good job to get himself back up the field. Has taken one position back off Van Rensburg, but all of this is going to cost him dearly in his tire drive. So as he makes his way through, he wants to have something left so he can stick it to the likes of Visagie. And that small mistake has allowed Visagie to kind of get away from the likes of Wilkin too. So Wilkin, will see him in front and will be chasing down. We'll take a little onboard lap here with Charles Wilkin. I mean, I jumped out there. I thought we had seen a slight mistake maybe coming out from McCall. It wasn't. I thought he had dipped back down the pace line, but he's still looking good to catch up to Wilkin. Best lap so far coming out from Wilkin, as I say that on that previous lap. 1:44.370. So that's actually 5/10 quicker than what Versace had done on his quickest lap. So that gap between Wilkin and Versace definitely looks like it wants to be closed if it can be controlled by the Team Hulk number 3 Aston Martin. This is where the mid-pack battles that we talked about in quali are starting to look through. Skitter looking like he wants to make a move on the inside, and immediately still being kept honest by the likes of Herbst in that Cayman. And we'll go side by side then with Malorto, and rear quarter panel to rear quarter panel. Going to force Malorto wide, but Malorto going to lose out big time here. And from 10th place, Malorto going to jump down to 13th. As he couldn't afford to go side by side through there. Looks like Skitter going to lose out to the likes of the Cayman from Herbst. He gets through. So the 313 trying to make some moves through. Has lost out to the Cayman, but still going to stick on to the front end and try and make a position up. Again, it's so difficult. Once you've kind of committed to following someone, if you make one mistake, you're in a lot of trouble. Warren Sheehan here seems to be under a little bit of pressure coming out. Herbst in that 223. Look at the soft suspension setup on that Cayman. You can see clearly under the car, under braking, suddenly that old gap disappears down. And really get to see some of the elevation and camber changes at Zandvoort as you follow a car around. That's very deep coming out from Sheehan. Very, very deep indeed. And it looks like Herbst going to spot this out almost immediately, looking to bully that position back and going to force the Aston Martin to go defensive on the inside. And just look at that Cayman, trying to get that apex a little bit better for the drive out for the final two corners. Going to set himself into a difficult position, I think, to get anything done just yet, but still trying to just remain in what is left of that slipstream. And a very good exit coming out from the Cayman. Might be able to have a look down into T1, but not quite close enough, I feel, at this point. But a couple good laps like that, and we'll be looking too. Is going to actually have a little pull out, maybe. No, going to be a little bit too early, and does force Sheehan to make the mistake. And Sheehan going to lead 2 positions. Skitter going to go side by side now into turn 2 and 3. Have to give that position and the space, and Sheehan does just that. But now, potentially, deploy, sees what's happened in front. That Nardo Grey M4 rearing from behind here, wants to get these positions, wants to get those points. The top 10 is very much doable as Skitter exits out, gets himself into the top 10. Herbst into 9th. And these are really our closest battles on track at the moment here in the mid-pack. Up the front, Versace still half a second ahead, so I'm going to follow along here a little bit longer. Maybe get a little onboard with Deploy. Oh, big mistake coming out from one of the Kaike drivers there. And he will be off track. Looks like Ryan Ottens is the driver to make that mistake. And he's going to drop down. He's now in 10th place. And is now also holding up the likes of Sheehan, who was already in that battle with drivers behind. So Malorto and Ryan Ottens from Kaike here, making a little sandwich of Sheehan in the middle. Sheehan in that Dayglow colored AMR, gonna stick out like a sore thumb. And you'll know that Ottens is probably not loving his tires after that little incident and excursion or out of bounds. And we'll try and get those positions as early as possible. But of course, when a driver from the front of the order drops back, they generally then find themselves out of pace position, and they then get themselves back in there. Xian going very deep into T1 once again. He lost out positions here before, so needs to be careful. Let's go and have a little recap up towards the front. A little KTM back in sight. Wilkin 6/10 behind as of the last timing split update. And Morgan McCall is right in this too. So our front three are definitely going to start to make this interesting in a little bit. They're closing in. And if Wilkin doesn't take that first place off of Visaki, Morgan McCall will most certainly want to stick it to him. So the number 199 still needs to make his way around that number 3 green and purple Team Hulk Aston Martin in front. Just remember they started towards the front of the order. Visaki with a very good start took that off of McCall, so he's trying to make his way back up the front. Time to check in with some chat. Some KTM fans here, like Jason said, the KTM tires will be fresh by the end, and a lot of these drivers in the other cars are going to struggle a little bit. Very true. Good redeeming factor of that KTM. So as he leads away, it looks almost effortless. The drivers behind him are going to be wanting to really get ahead as much as soon as possible, whilst they still got those grip levels up. Just going to pull up the timing sheet. You can see where all your drivers sit. The top 10: Visaki, Wilkin, McCall, Van Rensburg, McCall, Van Veek, Mooten, Herbst, Skitter, and Artens. So some good points up for grabs here in the opening round of the Raceface GT4 Season 2. Of course, brought to you by Resource Complete and Black Ribbon Sim. If you guys are interested in getting registered, there are spots still available. They will remain open for the duration of the season. Of course, the sooner you sign up, the more points you get, the better you do in the overall standings. But if you are interested, head over to www.Raceface.Pro. There's also a Discord channel that you can sign up with. And, of course, that's where most of the engagements and the announcements take place. So if you want to register, use the website. If you want to chat about some racing and get involved, come over to the Discord. If you're interested in just getting into some casual racing, come over on Monday nights to the Monday Night Racing crew. Come get on circuits and get up to scratch with where everybody is then able to race on circuits like this in leagues. We want everybody involved. So if you do have people that are looking to get into sim racing, send them our way. Big happy family. Jason Isherwood in the chat here, the front runner and the team owner of Retro Esports, supporting his driver Arne Visaki up in first place. So big power drive coming out here for the Retro Esports Rainbow team. Michelle Wilkin, not an easy driver to keep behind you, and Visaki doing a great job of that. I think McCall going to play into this, like I said a couple of minutes ago, just a little bit, and he's definitely going to perhaps put a spanner in the works. That gap does close down, expands a little bit. We see it get up to 6/10, and it's down to 4/10, so it really is anybody's race up towards the front. Giop, he's showing that he's got a battle on his hands, and it's that Cayman, the Porsche of Herbst, the 223, making his way through the order quite nicely up into 8th place, and looking to potentially take 7th place here off of the Kaiker Racing number 13. And a lot of pressure actually being put on here as we go to look for the correct camera angle. This one is good to follow along and follow the likes of Stefan making that, whoa, big crash coming out there. And I'm not quite sure where the drive came back. Will I be able to try and get a replay? Custom liveries kind of, or it was a bit of a slide coming out, and the Cayman, not realizing the speed differential, has contacted him. Marshals will be looking into it. John Newton dropped down to 14th place through there. And Stefan Herbst electing to not slow down and give the position back. Feels like it should go to the stewards. Driver in front of him was out of control, he feels. And has continued with his race. Wilkin back to 5 or half a second behind Versace. And that's because McCall is right here. So that gap just keeps closing down. And Wilkin is going to have to go very defensive here. This is exactly what Versace needs for the remainder of this race. He needs this position. And unfortunately, it's not quite gone the right direction for them. Charles Wilkin really seems to be struggling now to hold on to Versace. So McCall definitely putting a bit of pressure on. 7/10, what Versace wants. To Blanche, he's got the likes of Deploy putting on some pressure. Not quite in an attack position yet is the Nardo Grey M4 for the DP Motorsport number 5. But still looking nonetheless, waiting for an opportune moment to get on through. A little bit hesitant, it sounded like, on the accelerator pedal coming out and the exit, but this looks perhaps like where the move might come through. Going to be forced to make a decision, not going to be able to really commit to anything as DeBlanche goes into the middle of the track. And Deploy not going to have a way around. Warren Sheehan in that number 46. So he's dropped down to 15th. Doesn't quite have the pressure coming through from Malorto. We saw Malorto in the background cutting through the chicane. So some Aston Martins towards the bottom of the order here. In fact, 4 Aston Martins from 15th to 18th. And then we've got 4 BMWs from 11th to 14th. So the BM's sort of slotting in there ahead of the Aston Martins in the Manufacturer Series. I want to see the defense come out here from Deploy, or from Tablanche, should I say. Deploy going to be on the attack. And so far, done a good job to hold the M4 back. Lap time wise, Deploy's quick as a lap, almost 2/10 quicker. And you can bet that there's still some more in that if he's made up the gap and now been held up a little bit. So Tablanche on that last lap, a 147.304. So he is losing some time in having to go defensive. You can almost hear the engine notes of that Aston also not quite sounding quite so happy. Also a little bit hesitant on the accelerator coming through. But that M4 does seem to have a little bit of magic nudity on the straights. We saw it at Monza. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep it close enough here, especially towards the start-finish straight. We know there's so many passing opportunities into turn 1. And you really do have to try and see if you can make something stick through there. And this is exactly the drive that Mornay Deploy needs. He needs to keep this drive through. Can't back off too much. The back off is what may cost him, but will stay on that accelerator pedal now as they go down the start-finish straight. Side by side, they should pull. Mornay Deploy going to go on the inside line. Tablanche going to give adequate space on the outside. And into turn 1 they go. And that will be where the move gets made. So good driving coming out from Mornay there in that DP Motorsport M4. Read that like a book and planned it perfectly. Timing splits still showing Wilkin and McCall, the drivers to watch. Look at Versace checking out of this already. 1.5 seconds up the road from Wilkin. And Morgan really creating a bit of a handful situation. Jump onto the rear wing. We might be able to get some insight into where that Merc is closing down onto Wilkin. Wilkin coming through. And still just showing us that towards the closing phases of Sector 3. He has enough to keep Morgan behind. But I do think it is the straights that Mercedes winds itself up. Let's see where he gets to, down to T1. Go for a little onboard inside the Mercedes. Absolutely a pleasure, Derek. I don't mind giving you some driver showing. No Hendricks in the chat too. No live stewarding. As far as I understand, there's none. It's all post-race stewarding. Yeah, I just handle the broadcasting side. But as far as I know, no live stewarding. McCall here does get very close towards the end of the first sector. And it really is just giving everything to Versace. This is the drive that he needed. And it is what I like to see. Versace has been showing that he's got that pace and the consistency time and time again, both locally and internationally. Very good representative for sim racing. And on the inside, this might be the move coming through. McCall on the inside will send it down. Wilkin will try and fight back. He will have the inside for the next complex. And cutback coming in. What a drive coming out from McCall. Morgan will go side by side and the drag race begins. Inside for the chicane will belong to Charles Wilkin. And they give each other track position. Now will he try again to get through here? He can't. And very defensive from Wilkin. Going to back the pack right up. Morgan going to have to tap off. Stop himself from running into the back end there of Wilkin. Good driving coming out from Morgan. And a good defense coming out from Charles. Versace checks out. Says, sweet brothers. I like what you're doing back there. Keep it up. I'll stay 2.8 seconds up the road. 13 laps completed. As they now begin their 14th. 22 minutes left of this race. And this pushing between these two is definitely going to cost them on their grip towards the closing phases. Always good to see an on-track battle between good drivers that give each other some space and some room. And so far, it's looked just that way between almost everybody on the grid that we've gone to. Deploy here. Onto to Blanche. And it looks like once again that position switching itself up a bit. Deploy gonna have to look for that move. To Blanche's Aston Martin looking a little bit damaged on the front end, so that may be something to have a look-see into. May cost him. Of course, the GT4 car is not so susceptible to that aero damage. This is a little fight out, a little BMW Cup action, some M4s. Mike McGear from BWR. I know we got some BWR fans, and Neil Berger from BWR out on circuit at the same time. They're battling it out for 12th and 13th, and then they've got the M4 of Gian Mutin from Kai K Racing behind them. Always good to see teams entering in. I love it. I love the team side of racing. I think it's always good to have a place to call home. And always good to see the supporters coming out and showing the support for their drivers. So our little BMW Cup onto ice a little bit as the car lengths increase. We'll stick with it a little bit. Berger might feel some pressure here from Mutin. We see Xian going a little bit deep out of the exit of the chicane. He potentially has Malorto to contest with. And some really nice racing coming out so far. Wilkin seems to still be the man to track. Oh, Morgan coming up the inside. A little touch coming through and a little touch on the exit too. So track position going to go the way of Morgan McCall in that. Let's see if we can jump back again. Like I said, we'll try and keep it. Let's go for some helicam action here. So this is the pass that McCall does onto Wilkin. So as a nice exit through, sticking onto the back of that green Aston Martin as much as he can. And, oh, the gap wasn't really in there. And I would have maybe liked to see Morgan potentially have given that position back in the contact. I'm actually not sure. I'm not a steward. But, yeah, a little bit argy-bargy. Wilkin does keep control of the car. But, yeah, you can't leave spaces open with McCall. Maybe a little bit aggressive coming through. Joe Gabus, there's only 18 cars left. We only started with 18 cars. So far we got all our starters still in the race. Wilkin then going to be left to chase down McCall. Potential inquiry might come out from him again. I'm not 100% sure, but that position changed up in not the cleanest of ways. It's a very tight call coming through, but we'll leave that out to the people who are more responsible to make those calls. It looks like our BWR battle still continues down. 12th, 13th, and 14th. Mutin from Kaike keeping the BWR drivers honest for now. I say that Mike McGear a couple car lengths up ahead. Berger really kind of playing blockman here to Mutin. But any of this will benefit the likes of Sheehan behind him. Or behind them. So Sheehan will be keeping his eye on this, watching those track times. And just like that, we've lost Mutin. He's dropped out. He's at a disconnect. And we talked about 18 cars, 17 remain. One disconnect comes through. Mutin falls down. And Warren Sheehan then will have to take the likes up towards the front of the order. Now it's up to the likes of Morgan to try and close down onto that KTM of Visaki. He's built himself up a 4.8 second lead. We see coming out of the final corner there, both cars in shot. It's not a big lead if you make a mistake, so it will be up to Visaki to just keep things between the white lines. Everyone in chat, thank you so much for being here. I'll say it a couple of times. Always good to commentate and have you guys all here and having opinions and getting involved in the racing action. Sometimes the accidents. A tight call, says Noah Hendricks. Morgan had the guts to go there. Luckily, he didn't wipe out Mr. Hulk. I feel the same. It was a brave move. The contact there was sort of savable. In my circumstances, I'd have just backed off and retaken that battle somewhere else. There's still plenty of time on track. But everybody doing a good job. Mr. Jordan Sherritt out in chat. Our local representation who's just come, or just been in Italy after placing third place in the Lamborghini Esports Challenge. How is it driving some real-life Lamborghinis, Jordan? Give us some insight in the chat. Thanks for joining us as well. Only a pleasure. We love to bring the broadcast action to you guys. We love to have as much of the Raceface action as we can. And of course, GT4 is tonight, GT3 is tomorrow night. The GT3 is probably a bigger pack or a bigger grid as well. Probably a more favorable pick for a lot of people. They like the GT3s if they have to commit to something. Not everyone can do multiple race series a night. So I think GT3 is going to be quite lit, as the youngins would say. Some good drivers coming through there and some interesting car picks from some drivers too. Derek Mulder watching all the way from the UK. He's shouting out his man Warren Sheehan. Well, you know, Derek, we like to show you your favorite car here whilst things are still relatively calm. There's some pretty big gaps between people. Deploy into Blanche, pretty close on track. Sheehan, pretty close to Berger, so not a bad car to follow along. Maybe we'll go on board as well for a little bit. Inside is Aston Martin. Berger struggling in that number 24 a little bit in the final two corners. And Sheehan will be waiting to see where he can capitalize on that. Small mistakes is what is needed at Zandvoort for track positions to be made up. And up towards the front of the order, things really haven't been changing up. Versace still just keeping a nice gap out on McCall. I thought maybe Morgan would start to close down. He was putting a lot of pressure onto Wilkin. But it's still a good gap coming out. 4.6 seconds remains there on the timing sheet. Xian wrestling a little bit here with his Aston Martin. And behind him, Malotto starting to lurk in the rearview mirror as well. So it always comes down to that final 10 minutes of racing where things get pretty intense, pretty exciting. This is where the drivers start to push. A lot of understeer coming out there from Malotto behind. He just struggles to keep that Aston on track. Definitely the favored car here in the GT4 class, it seems. A lot of Astons have been registered up. So Jordan here in the chat said basically drove the Huracan Evo road car and then also the Lamborghini Super Trofeo race car. Literally an incredible experience and a few exciting things that should come up soon. Absolutely awesome, Jordan. So cool that you got to go and have that experience. And always cool, like I said, to see our South Africans up towards the front representing in the international sim racing scene. So big ups from everybody here at Raceface. We're all proud. And a lot of other people are too. So this pressure coming out here, Berger certainly starting to feel it a little bit as they come down the start-finish straight. On the inside goes Xian, a little bit deep, a little bit dive, but they make a tiny bit of contact coming through again. A little bit of rubbing is racing in the GT4s. That always happens through. And it was quite deep coming down from Berger. So the inside was opportune for Xian to have a look. So will the answer come back from the BWR number 24 BMW? Sebo Malotto certainly feels like he'd like to have a look into some of this action as we jump on board with the 808. 15th place for the moment. Putting pressure onto that 24. Knows that he's just lost out of position. Will not have the best mental space after being robbed like that. And will be trying to exploit it where he can. Trying to just go a little bit deeper on the brakes always when you're following. Trying to just keep that gap at a maintainable distance before you can pounce. And as soon as the gap opens up on the inside here, maybe there, Malotto apexes the corner. And the number 24 sees this happening. Berger goes defensive. So Jordan was the fastest even on the sim. I mean, Jordan's driven real life race cars too. So I'm glad that he got to flex some real life muscle out there. Very cool. Hopefully there's some content and videos and things that we can follow up there. A good race coming out here in the GT4s from our guys towards the back of the pack. Giam Newton in the chat as well. He lost connection. We saw that actually happening. You were actually in a battle with the likes of Xian earlier on. Unfortunate circumstances coming through there. Up towards the front. Almost 5 seconds now for Versace in that KTM. Really showing that it's not all about the big car picks coming through. But this is a good drive coming out from Versace for Retro Esports. Rainbow, the number 94, doing a great job. And we do see in shots the likes of Morgan McCall from ATK Academy, but it's only second place for him, and it's 5 seconds almost down the road. 4.7, so he's dropped it down a couple hundredths. With 10 minutes to go, really has to start to find something if he wants to catch up. Versace just in that zen zone, just banging in consistent times. Last lap, 145.216 coming out for Versace, 145.336 for McCall, so still a tenth quicker even at this stage of the race. Jordan giving us a bit of insight in the chat as well. A few things that should come up in the for the next year competition. Always good to see. I mean, Lambo also said on their stream they love the esports side and they're keen to keep getting involved in things Always cool to see big manufacturers. And there's a mistake coming out from, it looks like, is that Sebo, not Sebo Maloto? He was driving off circuit there. It looked like another Kaike car, but I couldn't see who it was. Was it Ferreira perhaps? It was Ferreira. So Ferreira struggling a little bit there in that 222. Just trying to get that car around the circuit at this point. 10 minutes to go. He doesn't want to put for any repairs. And got some of the lead cars coming up. So trying to just keep himself off circuit. Keep himself out of trouble. Jordan says, many media people there. An epic video will come out. Yes, this is what we want to see. You want to see some of that footage. That's going to be amazing to see. I mean, I got hyped seeing Jardia posting a picture in his race suits on Twitter. So seeing some video footage come out from that. Sim racing is cool when it gets into that sort of space. And Jordan putting out a couple of good words for me for a good opportunity. Well, thanks, Jordan. Absolutely appreciate that. You know what, Alaric? We might change from Porsche love to Lamborghini love if that has to come up. You know, I'm not going to say I'm fickle, but you know, I did always say a Lamborghini looks like a Batmobile, as does Versace's KTM. A little bit more of a tissue box Lamborghini, like one that you ordered on Wish and came and didn't quite live up, so you painted it in bright colors. It's a bit of hate for the KTM, but I'm a bit of a fan of the oddball car picks, and this most certainly in this grid was the one that surprised me. I did not expect it to have the quali that it did, nor did I expect Versace to have the race that he did. Stuck it to McCall early on, had a good start, and like we said, starts are everything here. He's had a good race from there, and with 7 minutes to go, he's looking very stable. So a potential race win going to come out. Our mid-pack battles cooling off a little bit to Blanche and Deploy. I think they deserve a little trophy together. They've stuck to each other like glue. Swapping some positions where need be. But to Blanche here, a couple car lengths out. Deploy still to chase down. And then the likes of Sheehan, he's found himself in the openness. Maybe we should just run through everybody, a full grid run through. Versace in first, McCall in second place, Charles Wilkin third, Mark van Rensburg in fourth, Junior McCall in fifth, Hannes van Wyk in sixth, seventh for Stefan Herbst, eighth for Sean Skitter, ninth for Ryan Ottens, and 10th for Stephen to Blanche running out the top 10. Then we've got Mornay Deploy in 11th, Warren Sheehan in 12th, 13th for Mike McGear, 14th for Neil Berger, 15th for Tsebo Maloto, Jandre Brits in 16th, and 17th place for Terence Ferrero, who's still just trying to nurse that car back home. To Blanche and Deploy will remain our battle to watch for position in terms of timing on track. This is really for the top 10, so to Blanche, the gatekeeper for now. JC says we all know George has a price now. His loyalty can be bought with a supercar. I mean, if you only needed up until this moment to find that out about me, I'm sorry that I've let a lie for so long. But supercars talk. You know, they talk. And really impressed with the racecraft that has come out here. Maybe a little bit of an aggressive pass from Morgan onto Wilkin. I still will say that it was a brave move that came through. But again, any sort of big contact coming down, you do have to look through. It has changed things up. McCall sits in second place, Wilkin third. And it is, it kind of changed the outcome of the race for us as viewers, I suppose, a little bit. It was a really good battle between the two of them. And once the pass was done, Wilkin was unable to answer back and get back onto the likes of McCall. So, looking down towards, where did Sean Skitter sit? So, is Audi currently the 313 in 8th place. Definitely a good drive coming out from Sean. He'll be happy with his position within the top 10. Jordan saying driving at Imola with the bike chicane on the middle of the main straights into T1 hitting 245 kilometers an hour. Yeah, that's proper. That's proper fast. That's proper fast. JC Krubler, driver of the day. Guys, can we get some driver of the day votes in the chat? If you guys want to elect a driver of the day, feel free to drop them in here. So far, JC Krubler voting for Versace in his KTM. Started out in second place. Had a great start to the race. Got the lead and has led since then. So I think it's a good vote coming through for Mr. Versace. Martin Jobert agreeing. Arno Versace getting the vote coming through. And with 3 minutes on the clock, again I'll say the stability and the consistency coming out from this KTM has just been there for Versace. He's been just dropping consistent laps. He's been happily holding his 144s. Hasn't been dropping off the tire pace. I mean, he's done a 145.2 here. A little bit slower than his regular pace, but with 2 minutes to go, he just kind of maybe wants to finish a lap quicker or a lap sooner after the clock time's down. So I think a good drive coming out from Arno overall. Looks like Berger and Malotto showing up on the timing split. These two also driving out. Very wide coming out from Berger on the exits. Going to allow Malotto to reel him in. Of course, down to the chicanes where you can look to pass. The 24 looks to hold an inside line and not allow the inside to be taken. Derek Mulder voting for Warren Sheehan. His drive from 11th, then dropped to 16th and back to 11th. Well, now 12th it looks like on the order. So Derek throwing in his votes. So far, Versace definitely dominating with the votes of the day. What we need is a vote command for a vote of the day that interacts with a website poll. I'll get Batters to make us a vote of the day poll. He always listens to my great suggestions, even if they are ridiculous. So maybe we can have a vote driver of the day poll. Pops up with the results. That'll be quite cool. Chat can interact with us as we broadcast the races. And a good start to the season. So I'm gonna stick with Arno here, as it doesn't look like battle-wise I'm gonna have too many other changes for position. Our race controller informs us that our leader is on his final lap. And a bit of a sigh of relief, I'm sure. It's always hard to lead a race. I think it's one of the more tricky situations. Keeping yourself honest. You don't have anyone making sure that you're getting a move on. You just have to keep self-motivated and finding extra time and pace. I mean, 5.5 seconds to McCall. Versace just keeps expanding on the gap that he had. And a last lap little ride along. I think that's very much warranted here. We'll go on board with the KTM inside the jungle gym that is built up to give this thing a roof. As obviously the road going variant is an open top. So a very strange GT4 car. We'll alternate between the onboard and the splitter view with Versace. Has a bit of a interesting gear sound, a gear shift sound. Not particularly a fan of it. Sounds like you're just dropping your forks on your plates, but you know, that's me. It's a bit more KTM shade. I ride a Kawasaki, so all KTMs are terrible. But Arno Versace definitely showing that it's not. First place here, final 2 corners to go. The Retro Sim, or the Retro Esports Rainbow team, will take home the opening race victory here in the Raceface GT4 Season 2 at Zandvoort. And over the line, the number 94 goes. A solid win coming out from Arno Versace. Morgan McCall from ATK Academy will cross the line in second place. And the third place on the podium goes out to Charles Wilkin from Team Hulk. Mark van Rensburg, the other Team Hulk driver, finishes in 4th place. Down the line, Junior McCall will drive. He'll take home 5th place overall, the 144. Decent drive for Junior. Pretty uneventful. Hannes van Veek from BWR Griffins will take home 5th place. So top 5 coming out from the BWR team. And we'll then see Herbst coming over the line in 6th place. Sean Skitter for EKZ takes home 7th. Ryan Ottens, the final 2 corners still to go. The final corner, should I say, down the start finish straight. 8th place for the Kaike driving, or Kaike Racing, number 64. Mornay Deploy will follow in short suit in 9th place for DP Motorsport. 10th place goes to the ST Motorsport GT4 for Stephen Tablanche. Warren Sheehan, Mike McGeer, Neil Berger, Jean-Andre Brits, Gian Mutin, Sebo Malorto, and Terence Ferreira round out the rest of the order. And sorry, Gian dropped out, so he finishes as a DNF driver. So in fact, be Jean-Andre Brits, Sebo Malorto, Terence Ferreira. Good drive coming out from all the drivers. Good win coming out for Retro Sim. And a really good race overall. I really enjoyed it. I just want to thank everybody for coming out and joining us. It's been great. My voice is out of sync, and that's okay. We'll fix that all for next week. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Well, I'll fix it for tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the GT3s. Once again, thanks for joining. If you haven't, hit subscribe. If you haven't liked the stream, please do that as well. I'll put an end to this ACC volume. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Running full system diagnostics.